Some places in America don't stay abandoned. They wait. I've always been fascinated by abandoned places ever since I was a kid, exploring old factories, forgotten hospitals, documenting everything with my camera. My channel had grown to over 200,000 subscribers who tuned in every week to watch me venture into places most people wouldn't dare step foot in. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for what I found at the Beacon's Edge Lighthouse. My friend Marcus had sent me a message about the place 3 weeks prior. He knew I was always hunting for the next big location, something that would give my viewers that perfect blend of history and horror. The Beacon's Edge Lighthouse sat on a rocky outcrop about 4 hours north along the coast, abandoned since 1987 when the last keeper, a man named Samuel Thornton, had supposedly vanished without a trace. The lighthouse had been automated afterwards, but even that system had failed within a year. Local fishermen refused to go near the rocks, claiming they'd seen lights in the tower at night, heard voices carried on the wind. It was perfect. Marcus agreed to come with me, though I could tell he was hesitant. We'd done dozens of explorations together, but something about this one made him uneasy. I convinced him it would be worth it, that this could be the video that finally pushed us over the 1,000,000 subscriber mark. He finally agreed, but only if we brought proper equipment and didn't stay past sunset. The drive up was beautiful in that desolate, haunting way that the northern coast always is. Gray skies, darker gray water, and rocks that looked like broken teeth jutting from the surf. We arrived around 2 in the afternoon, parking my van as close as we could get to the narrow path that led out to the lighthouse. The structure itself was impressive, easily 100 feet tall, white paint peeling away to reveal the rust-red brick underneath. The attached keeper's cottage was in even worse shape, its windows dark and vacant like empty eye sockets. "Jesus," Marcus muttered as we unloaded our equipment. "This place looks like it wants us dead." I laughed, but the sound felt hollow. He wasn't wrong. There was something profoundly unwelcoming about Beacon's Edge, something that made the hair on the back of my neck stand at attention. But I'd felt that way before at other locations, and it had always turned out to be nothing more than atmosphere and my own imagination. We made our way carefully along the path, waves crashing against the rocks below with a violence that made me grateful for the rusted chain-link fence that ran alongside the walkway. The wind was fierce, constantly trying to shove us toward the edge, and I found myself thinking that even in its operational days, this must have been a miserable posting. Isolated, dangerous, with nothing but the endless ocean for company. The door to the keeper's cottage was unlocked, hanging slightly ajar. I pushed it open slowly, the hinges screaming in protest, and we stepped inside. The smell hit me immediately, that distinctive odor of decay and salt water and something else, something sweet and rotten that I couldn't quite place. The interior was surprisingly intact, furniture still in place though covered in a thick layer of dust and bird droppings. A table in what had been the kitchen still had plates set out, as if someone had been interrupted mid-meal and simply never returned. "Check this out," Marcus called from what looked like a small office. I joined him, camera rolling. The room was cramped, dominated by a heavy wooden desk covered in papers. But what caught my attention was the logbook, a leather-bound journal lying open on the desk. The last entry was dated October 15, 1987, the day before Samuel Thornton had disappeared. I read it aloud for the camera, Marcus filming over my shoulder. October 15, 1987. The voices are getting louder. I can hear them even during the day now, calling from the rocks below. At night they come up the stairs. I've barricaded myself in the cottage, but I know it won't matter. They want me to join them. They say there's nothing to fear in the water. They say it's peaceful down there, quiet, away from the light that burns and never stops burning. I think tonight I'll finally listen. I think tonight I'll finally have peace. The room felt suddenly colder. Marcus shifted uncomfortably beside me. That's some heavy stuff, man. Guy was clearly losing it out here. I nodded, but something about the entry bothered me. The handwriting was steady, controlled. Not the scrawl of someone in the grip of madness. It was methodical, almost peaceful. I photographed the page, then flipped through the rest of the logbook. The entries from the weeks prior showed a gradual deterioration of Thornton's mental state. He wrote about strange sounds at night, about seeing figures on the rocks that vanished when he turned his light toward them. He wrote about the previous keeper, a man named William Marsh, who had also vanished in 1952. You notice the pattern? I asked Marcus. Both keepers disappeared in October, 35 years apart. October, Marcus repeated quietly. He pulled out his phone, checking the date. Today's October 17th. We stood there in silence for a moment, the only sound the howling wind outside and the distant crash of waves. Then I forced a laugh, clapping Marcus on the shoulder perhaps a bit too hard. Come on, don't tell me you're buying into this. Guy goes crazy from isolation, writes some creepy stuff, probably threw himself into the ocean. Tragic but not supernatural. Marcus didn't look convinced, but he followed me as I made my way toward the lighthouse tower itself. The door connecting the cottage to the tower was heavy steel, secured with a padlock that had long since rusted through. I snapped it off easily and pulled the door open. The spiral staircase beyond seemed to ascend forever, disappearing into darkness above. Our flashlights could barely penetrate the gloom. The climb was exhausting. 173 steps, I counted them all, my legs burning by the time we reached the top. The light room was a disaster, the massive Fresnel lens cracked and covered in grime, bird nests filling every corner. But the view was incredible. Even under the gray sky, I could see for miles, nothing but ocean stretching to the horizon. Worth it, I said, panning my camera around. The viewers are going to love this. That's when I heard it. A voice, faint but distinct, calling from somewhere below. Hello? Is someone there? Marcus and I froze, staring at each other. Did you hear that? I whispered. He nodded slowly. There's someone else here. We made our way back down the stairs, faster now, more careless. About halfway down, I heard it again, closer this time. Please, I need help. I'm hurt. It was a woman's voice, frightened, desperate. We picked up our pace, taking the steps two at a time. By the time we reached the bottom, I was breathing hard, my heart hammering in my chest. Where are you? I called out. In the cottage, the voice replied. In the bedroom. Please hurry. Marcus grabbed my arm. Wait, he said. His face had gone pale. Listen to it. Really listen. I paused, and that's when I realized what he meant. The voice was wrong. It had the right words, the right tone, but there was something off about it, something hollow and artificial, like a recording played through a damaged speaker. Please hurry, the voice repeated, exactly the same as before. Same inflection, same timing. I'm hurt. We should leave, Marcus said, his voice tight with fear. Right now. We should go. But I was already moving toward the cottage, drawn by a curiosity I couldn't explain. The bedroom was at the back of the cottage, its door closed. I reached for the handle and Marcus hissed, "Don't." I opened it anyway. The room was empty. Completely empty. No furniture, no debris, nothing. Just bare walls and a floor covered in a thick layer of undisturbed dust. No one had been in this room for years, maybe decades. Please hurry, the voice said again, but this time it was coming from behind us. We spun around to find nothing there, just the empty doorway leading back to the main room of the cottage. I'm hurt. Okay, we're done, Marcus said, his voice cracking. We're leaving. Now. I couldn't argue with him. Whatever was happening here, it wasn't natural, and it wasn't something I wanted to investigate further. We grabbed our equipment and headed for the door, moving quickly but not quite running. That's when all the doors in the cottage slammed shut simultaneously, the sound like gunshots in the silence. Marcus tried the front door, pulling frantically at the handle. It wouldn't budge. It's locked, he said, panic rising in his voice. It's locked from the outside. That's not possible, I said, but even as the words left my mouth, I knew how stupid they sounded. None of this was possible. The voice spoke again, but this time it was different. Deeper, masculine, coming from everywhere at once. You shouldn't have come here. This is a place of service. Of duty. The light must be kept. We just want to leave, I called out to the empty room. We didn't mean any disrespect. Just let us go. Footsteps on the stairs. Slow, deliberate footsteps descending from the tower. I could hear them clearly through the open door that connected the cottage to the lighthouse. Marcus backed away, his camera forgotten on the floor. The footsteps reached the bottom of the stairs, then stopped. A figure stood in the doorway. Tall, gaunt, dressed in a lighthouse keeper's uniform that looked like it hadn't been cleaned in decades. His face was the worst part. It was Samuel Thornton. I recognized him from the photo I'd seen in the historical records. But his skin was gray and waterlogged, his eyes clouded white like those of a dead fish. Water dripped steadily from his clothes, forming a dark pool at his feet. "The light must be kept," he said again, his mouth barely moving. "I kept it. William kept it before me. Now you must keep it." "We're not lighthouse keepers," Marcus said, his voice barely above a whisper. "We're just explorers. Urban explorers. We document abandoned places." Thornton's head tilted to one side, the movement too sharp, too inhuman. There were others who said the same. They all learned. They all understood their duty in the end. That's when I realized what the sweet, rotten smell was. It was death. It was the smell of bodies left to decay in salt water. And it was getting stronger. More figures appeared in the doorway behind Thornton. A dozen of them, maybe more, all in various states of decay. Men and women, some in old-fashioned clothing, some in more modern attire. All with that same waterlogged appearance, that same clouded stare. These weren't just lighthouse keepers. These were everyone who had ever come to Beacon's Edge and failed to leave. "The light protects," Thornton said, taking a step forward. Water squelched from his boot. "It keeps them below. But it needs tending. It needs a keeper. Always a keeper." Marcus bolted. He ran for the back of the cottage toward what might have been a rear exit. The figures moved with impossible speed, cutting him off. I heard him scream, then silence. I wanted to run after him, to help him, but my legs wouldn't move. I was frozen, paralyzed by a fear so complete it overrode every instinct to flee. Thornton stood directly in front of me now. I could smell him, that overwhelming stench of death and decay. He reached out with one waterlogged hand and placed it on my shoulder. It was cold, so cold it burned. "You have a choice," he said. "Keep the light or join them in the deep. These are the only paths available now." "What light?" I managed to choke out. "The lighthouse hasn't worked in years." His cracked lips pulled back in something that might have been a smile. "Not that light. The one below. The one that's been burning since long before this tower was built. The one that keeps them hungry instead of hunting. We feed it with our years, our sanity, our very selves. And when we have nothing left to give, we bring others to take our place." He gestured toward the tower stairs, and somehow I found myself moving, walking up those steps again, though every fiber of my being screamed at me to resist. The dead followed behind, their wet footsteps echoing in the confined space. Up and up we climbed, past the light room now, toward a hatch in the ceiling I hadn't noticed before. The hatch led to the lighthouse gallery, the narrow walkway that circled the outside of the light room. But that wasn't what Thornton was showing me. He pointed down, toward the rocks below, toward the churning water that crashed against them. At first, I didn't understand what I was seeing. The water seemed to glow, a sickly green phosphorescence that pulsed like a heartbeat. Then I realized the light was coming from beneath the water, from deep below the surface. And in that light I could see shapes. Massive shapes, with too many limbs and mouths that were far too large. They writhed in the depths, drawn to the light but repelled by it at the same time. "They've always been here," Thornton said beside me. "Long before humans walked these shores. The native peoples knew. They made sacrifices, kept the things below satisfied. Then we came with our cities and our lighthouses and we forgot. But they didn't forget. They never forget. And they're always hungry." I looked at him, at his ruined face. "How long have you been doing this?" "Since 1987. 38 years of keeping the light. 38 years of watching, waiting, feeding it pieces of myself. I thought I'd found release when I walked into the water. But there is no release. There is only service. And Marcus, your friend made his choice. He's with them now. You can join him if you prefer. They're slow eaters. It might take days before you truly die." I looked back down at the water, at those writhing shapes, and felt my sanity trying to slip away. This couldn't be real. It couldn't be happening. But I could hear them now, the voices Thornton had written about in his log. They were calling from the water, promising peace, promising an end to fear. What do I have to do? I heard myself ask. Thornton's hand on my shoulder again, guiding me back inside, down the stairs, past the crowd of waterlogged dead into the cottage. He led me to the desk, to the logbook still lying open on its surface. He placed a pen in my hand. You document, he said. You record. You keep the log just as we all did. And most importantly, you tend the light. Every night you go to the rocks at low tide. You'll find the entrance, a cave that leads down into the deep. The light is there. You'll know what to do when you see it. And if I refuse? He gestured toward the window, toward the churning sea beyond. I understood. That was 6 months ago. I'm writing this now in the logbook just as Thornton instructed. Just as all the others did before me. Marcus is down there in the water. I see him sometimes when I make my nightly journey to tend the light. He doesn't look like Marcus anymore. None of them look human after a while. The light needs tending every night. It's not really a light, not in any conventional sense. It's something ancient, something that was here before language had words for such things. I feed it, not with oil or electricity, but with something else. Something that comes from inside me. I can feel myself diminishing piece by piece, night by night. Soon there won't be enough of me left to continue. That's when I'll need to bring someone new. I've started posting videos again. Not about Beacon's Edge, of course. I told my subscribers that Marcus and I decided to part ways, pursue our own projects. I've been exploring other abandoned places, building my audience back up. The algorithm is finally favoring me. I'm up to 300,000 subscribers now, closing in on 400,000. Last week, I got a message from a young woman named Sarah. She's a huge fan, she says. She wants to know if I'd be interested in doing a collaboration. She suggests we explore something coastal, something isolated. She's heard about this old lighthouse up north called Beacon's Edge. I told her it sounds perfect. We're meeting next week, October 15th. It's fitting in a way. Cyclical. The way these things always are. Sometimes late at night, when I'm alone in the cottage, I can hear my own voice calling from the rocks below. Please, I need help. I'm hurt. The thing that wears my voice, learning my patterns, my inflections. Preparing for the day when it will need to lure someone else up that narrow path. I used to be fascinated by abandoned places. Now I understand that no place is ever truly abandoned. Some places are just waiting. Waiting for new keepers. New voices to add to their chorus. New hands to tend the lights that keep impossible things at bay. Sarah will understand eventually. She'll have 30 or 40 years to come to terms with it, just as I have 6 months. And when her time comes, she'll reach out to someone else. Someone curious. Someone brave. Someone who doesn't understand that some doors, once opened, can never be closed. The light must be kept. Always kept. I can see Sarah's car pulling up now. She's early. Eager. She has no idea what she's walking into, no concept of the service she's about to begin. Part of me wants to warn her, to tell her to run, to never come back. But I don't. Instead, I close this logbook and place it back on the desk, open to this final entry. Just as Thornton did for me. Just as Marsh did for Thornton. Just as all the others did before them. I walk to the door and open it, putting on my best smile. Sarah? I call out. Welcome to Beacon's Edge. Come on in. I have so much to show you. Behind me in the cottage, I can hear them gathering. Thornton and Marsh and all the others, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all the keepers and explorers and curious souls who came before. Waiting. Patient. They've been doing this for a very long time. Sarah waves and starts up the path, her camera bag slung over her shoulder, excitement clear on her face. The light must be kept. And it always finds its keepers. If you're still here, thank you. But honestly, not many make it this far. Some stories don't just scare you, they hollow you out. The people Beacon's Edge has taken. They weren't just victims in a tale. They were someone's friend, someone's family, someone who meant something to somebody. This place doesn't just claim lives. It steals everything else first. Slowly, quietly, without mercy. What's left of them is more than death. It's a kind of silence that hurts to listen to. Ask yourself this: what would you do? Would you step through that dark doorway? Or admit the fear you feel in your chest and walk away? Neither choice is easy. Just remember, not every light is meant to guide you. Some lights only pull you deeper, piece by piece. Out here on this coast, there's one truth: no place is ever truly abandoned. Some places wait, even for those who were never meant to return. Thank you for watching. Hold on to your own light, keep it close. And if you ever hear a soft voice calling your name from the rocks at night, remember, that's not an invitation, it's a warning. And whatever you do, don't look back.